Hello to our Heal Inside and Out listeners. It's that time of year. We have darker days, we have shorter days. And here in the Midwest, where Marla and I are, we add to that cold and snow. But the winter blahs are a real thing, regardless of where you live. And Dina can certainly speak to that from Florida, where cold is like 50 degrees. But
Right.
it's still dark too. So to give you credit for that. And adding to that, we're past the holidays. We lack the warm spring and summer energy and feel to draw from. And we're all in need of a break, which can cause us to have those blahs.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the impact of this. Dina, I know it's warm, but what are you feeling?
I know that it's warm here, but I've only been living here for 2 years.
True.
I'm a New York girl. I'm a Long Island girl. So I know what it's like when you leave for work in the dark and you come home from work in the dark. And it's like, will we ever see the sunlight?
Yeah.
But here in Florida, it's the same thing. It gets dark earlier than it has been because of the time change, which we're still doing in Florida. And I know in some states across the United States, they're not changing the clocks, So when I wake up in the morning, it's dark, but it's also dark early. And that puts a lot of mental strain and anguish on each and every one of us. And the reason I say that is because, like you said, it impacts our energy. Like you don't want to do anything. You just want to kind of bundle up, especially if you're around the cold weather and the snow.
Yeah.
But here in Florida, it's like it's 6:05 and it's dark out. I'm like, is it time for bed?
Right.
It's things like that. It's that good old, like you said, cabin fever. You kind of go stir crazy.
You do. And actually, that's a good point because the cabin fever applies to you down there. Even if it's warm, you're not feeling like you want to go sit by the pool if it's super dark. And
No.
us up here, we're not feeling like in the dark, we want to go out and be cold. So that you start to feel like isolated. And yeah, it's like literally figuring out what things can we do when we're stuck in the house. It's just a different time of year. It's like we go into hibernation mode.
Yeah, and it impacts not only your socialization, which, impacts how you feel and energetic, and it also impacts how much movement and stuff you do if you like to get outdoors to do that. You just feel like, it's time to go to bed, and it's 7 or 8 or 9, whatever time the sunlight's gone for us. And yeah.
Well, yeah, you seem to be more involved with people in the neighborhood, or you could sit outside more with a group of people. You can walk the streets of a cool little town that you live nearby or live in. Yeah, granted, I could walk some of the streets here in Florida without a coat on, but usually maybe a long sleeve t-shirt. But like where you two live, it's like you really truly got to bundle up.
Yes, and I am a wimp in the cold, and that's so very true because I am not as willing to go out and be cold, but if I had the right equipment, invested in some better boots and some better like things so it doesn't feel slippery on my feet and some but I choose not to. And some people love the outdoor sports. And that's great, but it does make for a longer winter when you're not out and about like that.
Right, because some people's, depending on where they live, their winter with snow can start as early as October or November and stay till May.
Yeah,
That's
we've actually
a long time.
I don't know if we've talked about the Booyah, which we always do at the end of October, our big event here. We have done everything from it's been too hot to even want to eat soup to we've been playing bocce ball in the snow. So it's like Yeah, winter can come so early as far as the cold and the snow, right? That you're dealing with. But you also just think of that darkness and the impact of it like think about a sunny day versus a cloudy day.
Right.
The mood, and to your point, Dina, the energy, it just changes.
Right. And that is something we have to truly look at when we're healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like you said, when it's dark and it's cold, you don't want to do nothing. You want to stay indoors. What does that do to our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, and our spiritual health? And I'm throwing all four of them out there because it's all intertwined.
Yep.
But like you said, when it's sunny and it's a nice day, everything's uplifted. You're uplifted. So all of those things I just mentioned get fulfilled a little bit differently.
Exactly.
There could be more happiness, more joy, instead of, feeling down and depressed over, I can't do anything. And that is not good for our healing journeys.
No.
Whatsoever.
And that's a great point, Dina, is it's just tying it back to that. And I think it's important to even share some of the things, and we hope to hear from our listeners as well. But what are some of the ways that you navigate those blocks? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Marla. There was something that we were talking about earlier.
Well, I know a lot of times people say, oh, go on vacation, which is, of course, this is why schools build in spring break, right? Like everyone's at that point where they need a break, right? But as a family of four, sometimes it's just not affordable every time in the winter, or you just got through the holidays and all the expenses and things. So you're still trying to figure out if you can hold that vacation off till summer when the kids are off then. And so it's, Dina, I think you suggested just a staycation, I think is a great alternative to that vacation. And also just thinking about budgeting for the year, it kind of is inspiring me to think about like, how do we shift things a little bit if we do need that vacation in January through March? Then we just need to plan a little differently. So I'm looking at it in kind of two different ways, like find the ways to do something in town or find ways to get away and not feel like, oof, we just got through the holidays. How are we gonna make that happen?
Well, yeah, and I love the vacation idea too, because it can become a time thing and or a finance thing. So if you can plan it and or put some thought behind even creative ways to either have it be shorter, have it be closer to home so you don't have to fly, whatever. I mean, those different ways to do that. I would say one of the things that helps me a lot is lights around my house. So just the bright lights in the rooms. I like having lights on if we're not in the room, even just using the dimmers and having lights. But Christmas time is perfect. Leftover Christmas, I call it, where we just leave the lights up through February or March, because I love the twinkling lights in my house at night. And it's just such a quaint, more comforting, relaxing feeling.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because my sister said this year, that's what she's doing. She's leaving the Christmas tree up with no ornaments on it, and it has the lights that flicker, so it looks like it's twinkling. And she's like, I'm leaving it up and she still lives up north. She lives in New Jersey, and it gets cold there too. And she's like, I'm just leaving it up without the ornaments. And I think that's such a great idea. I never even thought about that till this year.
Well, and Maggie, you brought up before too, there's all these places that have like, just like even like they look more like little birch trees and they have lights on them and you can plug them in. You can put that up.
Right.
Got one in the background.
Yep.
Or I've seen too, they have these new cool lights that you can just put up. It just looks like a stick in the corner, but it has all different colors and you can change it and how it lights up or glows or different things. So again, to your point, like using light as a friend in a different and creative way, whether it's any of these that we've already suggested or just experimenting with something totally new.
I love that. And I told Ken that when we remodel our upstairs master bath, we're going to put a what do you call it? A sun lamp in there so that when you're in showering and whatever, that can just
Nice.
make it like not only warmer, but that heat lamp, that sun lamp, that bright,
Right.
it just feels good. So
I also feel that it could be a time to mentally refresh ourselves. You know, yes, we can do indoor activities, whether that's, you know, playing a game or, you know, organizing things as well. Those indoor projects, you know, we feel like we're stuck in the house, but if we are a little productive, cleaning out a closet, cleaning out the basement, painting a bathroom or a bedroom, or, you know, even just organizing our office, you know, with the file cabinets and, you know, it's things like that. Okay, yes, it gets dark early. You're not outside. It's after dinner time. What do most of us do? We're either on our phone, in front of the TV, you know, if that's what you like to do, don't get me wrong, that's great. That's your mental release of the pressures that's going on. But it's also time for, ooh, I got something to do here. I can clean up, and you don't have to do it like every single night or one time deal. Like it's got to be done like in the next 5 hours. I mean, just take the time to nibble at it a little bit at a time. And then, you know, next thing you know it, March and is over and April's here and it could be lighter out, which, you know, by the time I believe this episode airs, we are going to be moving the clocks ahead in certain states.
I love that. And I love that you said nibble at it, because how many
Yeah.
projects do we have? It's like, okay, let's maybe save that for the winter. But
Right.
the winter blahs in this time period we're talking about is longer than any of us probably would want it to be. So you got plenty of time to nibble at it.
Right, right. You know, so I think Marla mentioned it one time about like rearranging the furniture. You ever want to move your bed to the other side of the wall or to the other side of the room, or rearranging the furniture a little bit?
It just adds a little different spark, right? Or just changes
Right.
the energy, shifts it. And I think too, it reminded me that this is the time of year where sometimes I get a little excited and want to try like new plants or something, anything that's got like life and blooming and energy. I don't have very good green thumb, but it's the time I get inspired to try.
I love that. I love that. That brings a little life into the indoors, right?
Or even a hobby that you want, that you used to do that you don't do anymore, or even something new that you always wanted to try.
I've
This is
got
the
some of
time.
those. This is the time. You're inspiring me, Dina. Like, yeah, but the one my husband gives me the hardest time about is I want to do pottery. And I want to do it to the point where we have our own setup in the basement, which of course he just laughs, scoffs at, but I say someday. But I also see it as a huge opportunity for permission to do, like, because it gets dark earlier, right? And because we have
Right.
our longer nights, to ourselves, doing more of those things for ourselves, going inside, doing some self-reflection, meditation, whatnot, even napping and sleeping more. And that could be a whole episode, because sleep, I don't give myself the gift of sleep often enough.
All right.
So this is a good time to give ourselves that as a gift, right? Because you're, like you said, it's dark, it's time to go to bed. Maybe.
Right. But to expand on that, it's actually also could be the time for, if you want to make a habit change as far as your nightly routine, whether, like you said, that's meditation or even journaling or doing certain things that you don't normally do, is something that, you know, this is the time. This could possibly be the time to look at a new habit and say, I want to get to bed at a certain time. It is dark out. it sets you up for a restful night
Mhm.
so that your sleep can be longer and you sleep through the night.
Yeah, I love that. I don't often enough not take my phone to bed. Or should I say I too often take my phone to bed. And so I really like that idea of challenging myself at this point when I'm experimenting with a little more sleep and whatnot, try to change my routine up a little bit.
And it doesn't have to be, set that clock. It has to be an hour or it has to be 2 hours before I go to bed. No, it could be just as simple as 20 minutes before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Or want to go to bed.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that.
It's about sitting down saying, all right, I'm going to relax. I don't need the TV right now. I'm just going to think about my day, write some things down, what I accomplished, what I'm grateful for, a few minutes of breathing exercises. It's winding down time is what I love. And am I 100% all the time? Of course not. But I've been really focusing in on really having a nighttime routine.
Yeah. And yeah, just being intentional with how we're closing our day, I think is so powerful.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when you drift off into sleep, what happens? Our subconscious kicks in and we dream, and it like influences the quality of your sleep, the whole bit, like you say.
Right.
So I think that's a great one.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect, and it flows nicely when you put these things in place.
Yeah.
And once again, it's all about giving yourself the grace and the permission that if it doesn't happen one night, it doesn't happen one night.
Mhm.
A lot of people go into some of these routines saying, I have to do it 100%. Nope,
No.
not at all.
And I'm so glad you said that, because we covered a lot of different things that you can try to combat those blahs, right? And for each and every one of us, it will be different things that resonate most, but it's about experimentation. Experiment with the things, see how they impact you, and go from there.
Well, and it also is like adjusting to your energy. I heard both of you say different ones, that like I need a relaxing energy or calming bedtime routines, those kind of things, or bring the energy vibration up by like refreshing a space or getting out and trying a new hobby or something too. So it's reading what you need at the moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So we want to hear from our listeners. Like I mentioned earlier, share how you move through the winter blahs. And to do this, go to our Facebook group, Heal Inside and Out, and comment there. So as we say, healing truly is inside and out. And we can add here, it happens in lightness and darkness.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you found value in today's episode.
And remember to share your real and raw insights with us by going to healinsideandout.com, where you can also find additional information and resources.